Recording in progress.
Okay, good morning for real. Welcome everyone. Bruchim habayim. Agon Erev Yom Tiv. First topic we're going to speak about today are the Ushpizin. And I want to begin by putting up the source sheet. And to get it, please subscribe to our email. You can go to our site, RabbiDG.com, and subscribe. And this way you'll get all the Maramakoimos and all the information. And here it is, Ushpizin. What I want to bring to your attention is that even though this custom is a Kabbalistic custom, nevertheless, there are allusions to it in the Pasuk itself. The Pasuk says, Sukkos teishvu shivas yamim, kal ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yeshivu Sukkos. In Sukkos you should dwell for 7 days. Every native Israelite shall dwell in Sukkos. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh wrote a sefer of Drush, not to be confused with his regular commentary ala Torah called Or HaChaim HaKadosh. This is called Me'or Chaim. Me'or Chaim. And he points out that in the beginning of the pasuk it says, Basukos teishvu. Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yeshvu basukos. First it says teishvu, and then it says yeshvu. It says Or HaChaim HaKadosh in the Sefer Ma'or Chaim, Kasha, Betchila Amar Teishvu, Lenoichach, directed at them. And then it says, Kol Yisrael Yeshvu, they will. Why? Says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, our sages teach us that God says to the 7 tzaddikim that sit near Hashem, you go to the houses of your children on Sukkos to make the Chag. Therefore, they enacted to say, Tivu Ushpizin. In other words, Basukos Teishvu is God addressing Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. You go sit in the Sukkos. And then, Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yeshvu. If you go, you could be sure that the Jewish people will go. So the concept of Ushpizin is actually alluded to in the pasuk itself. In the Kabbalistic work, Toilas Yaakov, he quotes the Zohar HaKadosh, that when a person sits in the shade of God's faith, the Shechina spreads its wings upon the person, and Abraham and the 5 tzaddikim come to dwell with you. That's what it means, Basukos Teishu Shivas Yamim. Amar Rabbi Abba, Abraham and the 5 tzaddikim, David HaMelech, they come to dwell with you. That's why it first says Teishvu Shivas Yamim and not Bishivas Yamim. And therefore we need to rejoice with our Ushpizin. Then the Toilas Yaakov brings the following diuk, that Amar Rabbi Abba, it says Teishvu and it says Yeshvu. First the Ushpizin come and then we come. Like Rav Hamnuna Saba. Rav Hamnuna Saba, when he would enter the sukkah, he would rejoice. He would stand by the door of the sukkah and he would say, let us invite the Ushpizin. He would arrange the table. He would stand on his feet and he would say, Basukos Teishvu. Teishvu Ushpizin Kedoshim. By the way, from here is a raya, the Mekubalim hold that you should make a bracha me'umad on the sukkah. We don't do that, we make it sitting. Okay, this is an earlier source even than the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. We're going to come back to this bli neder. Now, what are the ramifications of inviting these Ushpizin? There are many, many ramifications. We actually spoke about this last year. Many ramifications of the Ushpizin. Number 1, Yisoid v'Sharash ha'avoda. He says, we've already mentioned many times, he writes this in the Shar Echad Shar Ha'isain. He said, we've already mentioned many times the obligation to learn at the table the whole year. But especially on Sukkos, to learn at the table, l'chvoid the Ushpizin. Because the main way to honor the Ushpizin is to learn at the table, to sing at the table, to praise Hashem, and to benefit the needy. So the first ramification is, number 1, to learn Torah at the table in honor of the Ushpizin. Number 2, the second ramification, the Shla HaKadosh says that Kasav Hazoyar, Boi Barnash Lemechte B'chol Yoima. A person has to rejoice every day, B'chol Yoima V'Yoima, Ba'an Pinihirin, with a shining countenance. With a shining countenance. There's some people that even they grow a beard for Sukkos, so they can have a more shining countenance, it looks like, yeah? So, the desire says that you should, on the 7 days of Sukkos, you should have anpin nehirin, a shining countenance. Why? But Ushpizin ilain desharyan ime, for the Ushpizin that dwell with you. So says the Shla, from here we learn it's asur to have a panim atzuvais. It's asur to have a saddened face. Kal v'chomer, even a mashahu of kas. So this is the second ramification of the Ushpizin. Number 1, learning Divrei Torah at the table. Obviously we always learn, but there's a special emphasis on it. Number 2, a special simcha to have in honor of the Ushpizin. Right? Obviously, if the king was visiting you, you had a distinguished guest, and you looked the beroiges, it would be disrespectful to your guest. But the Reishis Chachma, let's try to make this bigger, adds another element. He says that especially on Chag HaSukkos we need to be besimcha, especially in the Sukkah, like the Zohar says, Uboi barnash lemechte b'chol yoma v'yoma ba'an pini hirin. So then, the Reishis Chachma, who is a Talmud of the Ramak, says his Rebbe, the Ramak, was Medayik in the Zohar. Why does the Zohar say B'chol yoima v'yoima? People think that, in a Mishnah you could be Medayik. In a Gemara, no, you could be Medayik in every word of the Zohar also. Why does the Zohar say B'chol yoima v'yoima? The answer is, he didn't just say for 7 days. Every day you have to have a unique type of simcha. Tonight you should rejoice that Avram Avinu, the Semel HaChesed, the Avi HaMa'aminim, the Mekarev Rechoikim, is coming to your sukkah. Then on the second day you should have a new kind of joy. That Yitzchak Avinu, Nezar Begvura, Nekar Al Gabe HaMizbeach, the father of Avoida, is coming to your sukkah. And then on the third day you should be Misameach that Yaakov Avinu, Bechir Sheba Avos, the Yoishev Oiholim, the Masakin of Mariv is coming to your sukkah. In other words, each day, the reason the Zohar says B'chol yoima v'yoima is that each day should have a unique kind of simcha. Okay. So that is a second nafkamina of the Ushpizin. Number 3, the Yisod B'Sharsh Havodah says that because they're coming to your house, you need to invite them. Don't think they're going to come to your house if you don't invite them. By the way, I have the same practice. Maybe the only thing I have in common with Ushpizin is that I'm only going to come if you invite me. Don't send me a WhatsApp. People, they send a WhatsApp copy of invitation. No. I didn't see it. Unless you call me or I get something in the mail, I am uninvited. Anyway, the Ushpizin have the same policy. They will not come unless they get a verbal invitation. V'nishma koiloi b'voy alasim lahajmin Ushpizin ilan kadishin l'chulam b'shem yikra b'peh malei. You must enunciate their invite. Ki mavur b'svarim milashin hamaymer hazoyar. It's mavur in the Zohar. Shem ha'adam lo yazmin hani Ushpizin kadishin b'piv. That if a person does not invite these Ushpizin with their mouth, afim hu tzaddik amor, even if you're a big tzaddik, einam ba'im b'sukkos, they don't show. Shetzach lahazal davka, you need to invite them. V'likra yosam kol echad b'shmai, and call each one in their name. Okay, that's a third nafkamina of the Ushpizin. You must orally invite them. Then yesterday I got a call all the way from Yerushalayim. Did I see the chida that you should have a special cheer for the Ushpizin? So here you have it. Actually, we spoke about it last year. We spoke about the chida last year. But in case you forgot, the chida in the Avodas HaKodesh, Moira be'etzba, ois reish peites. He brings that Or hachag hakadosh yelech l'sukkah, v'yitzav elahavi kisei umeil mufur agaba. You should send word to bring a chair with a beautiful ornate covering. L'zecher zayin ushpizin u'ilan kadishin me'in dugma sha'osim b'yem amila kisei Elio hanavi zachor latayv. So you make a special chair, and if you don't put a chair, they don't come. They're very particular guests. These are very particular. First of all, you have to invite them, and second of all, you have to make a chair. I just want to tell you something. I don't think they're being picky. If you invited me to your house and you didn't put a chair, I also would probably go home. I mean, what am I supposed to do there? I'm not going to eat standing. You got to make a chair for them. You got to put a chair. Okay? Now, what's interesting is, what if you don't have a nice ornamental rug to put on top of it? It doesn't, they might still come. They'll still come, right? We have no evidence that they're makbid on the nice me'il. But the chair, the Chidah says, now, I didn't see in any Ashkenazic sources with the chair, only in the Chidah. So, I don't know, you want to take chances and say by Ashkenazim, we're more, we're not as formal. Our invitations work without a chair. I wouldn't take a chance. I would not take a chance. I don't know. But the Chidah says, the Zayar says, Eloi mesagna kisei lo yasi zois hoisa lahacharim l'Hashem lahazmin kisei l'zayin l'shuzin l'ay kadishim v'chalai lo yomer petzach b'sukkah. Come in. So that is a fourth nafkamina. Number one, to learn at the table. By that means to sing, to say praises of Hashem. Number two, a special exude, a special simcha. Number three, you have to orally invite them. Number four, make a nice chair for them. Number five, the Chidah brings in the Machzik Bracha, Toiv lahadlik b'sukkah zayin neirois keneged zayin tzadikim haban l'sukkah. It's good to light 7 candles. Okay, they're not makbid on that. They'll come anyway. They will come anyway, okay? It's toiv. Now, comes the Yesod V'Shar Shavayda. That, my dear brothers, the sanctified ones of Hashem, the friends of the Almighty, think about your greatness and the greatness of those who perform this mitzvah. They bequeath redemption and freedom to their generations, and the honor of Hashem hovers over them the whole day. And Hashem rejoices with them. Listen to this. But the avos will only come to your sukkah if you give from your bread to the poor students of Torah. Bring aniyim into your sukkah, and from their blessing you will be blessed. But if you don't bring the poor into your sukkah, the Shechina leaves, and you cause galus. So, what do you do if you don't have somebody to invite? So the Yesod V'Shar Shavayda says that on Erev Sukkos, Harehu B'chi Yitein, you need to be generous with tzedakah. And also, he says, it's the time to invite those people who need a place for Sukkos. And listen carefully. Why? Listen to this. Because you're inviting the avos. Fine, you're inviting them. So what are you feeding them? Their portion goes to the aniyim. Their portion goes to the aniyim. I don't see it here, but it does say that if you don't have that opportunity, you should give tzedakah on Erev Sukkos. I believe I saw that could be the chilek of the Ushpizin. You know what? Here, we're gonna see. I believe we're gonna see coming up. By the way, the Ben Ish Chai also writes, each night of Sukkos, you should send a tavshel to an ani, which is the chilek of the Ushpizin. But let's take a look at this, because this actually has roots in the Zohar. The Zohar says, Rabbi Avohu said, Avram Avinu, he's busy inviting people his whole life. So what do you do? What is he going to do now that he gets an invitation? Like, Avram Avinu's not going to know what to do with himself. His whole life he's inviting others, and tonight we're inviting him. So he's looking to see whether this is the kind of place he wants to hang out. Now that we're inviting him and the other tzaddikim and David, if we don't give to them a chelek of their suda, Avraham gets up and he's like, I'm out of here. And then Yitzchak says, me too. And then Yaakov says, this food is not tasting good for me. And then the other tzaddikim pack out. And a person should not say, I'll eat, drink, and I'll give leftovers. No, first you give to the aniyim. One second. Here it is. Baruch Hashem, we found it. I'm very happy we found this. Okay, because many people say, I don't know what, I don't have the opportunity. It's not going to happen. So the Shlach Hadar says as follows: Klaloi shel davar, Yasmin Adam Tchilu V'Filut Tzadikim. First you invite the Ushpizin, and then you take their portion and you give it to the aniyim at your table. And if you don't have aniyim around your table, then you send it to aniyim to their house. I guess if you can't do that, you're going to send it before, sort of like on Purim, where if you send before and it arrives on the Yom Tif, that would be okay. But this is like, so to speak, a fifth nafkamina. Again, I want everyone to have an understanding. Everything we're learning now is what we call extra legal practice. It is not halacha. This is not halacha. This is in the realm of Kabbalah. Ushpizin was Kabbalah. I know of a very great tzaddik, one of the biggest tzaddikim of the 20th century, who I knew personally, did not say Ushpizin, or said it only because his wife wanted him to. But he said it's not found in the Gemara, it wasn't his practice. But most do observe this practice, and this practice has many ramifications, namely the extra emphasis on learning at the table, an extra emphasis on simcha, a unique simcha displayed every day. Then we learned about the orally inviting them to the sukkah. We learned about making a special chair for them, lighting special candles for them, and then very important is the idea of the share of the Ushpizin goes to the aniyim. Now, the Kaf HaChaim brings down regarding lighting the candles for the Ushpizin. Some light a special candle each night, and they say, tonight I'm lighting a candle, l'chvoid Avram Avinu. And on the second night, l'chvoid Yitzchak. And some light 7 candles every night. Now, those who are noig on Yom Tov to light 5 and on Shabbos 7, they don't have to light 5 and 5 or 7 and 7. They should just add a little oil and then say this oil is the Chayt Shabbos, and the extras for the Ushpizin. Okay, interesting. By the way, I don't think we do this, but the Kaf HaChaim says that lighting the Yom Tov candles on Sukkos, the man lights them, not the woman. Yeah, lots of luck with that one. But I haven't seen that been practiced, but he says, Hakol lefi ha'adam v'hamakayim. Now I just want to, so we brought out a lot of different ramifications of the Ushpizin, learning at the table, unique simcha each day, orally inviting them, a special chair, special neiros, and inviting the aniyim. I want to tell you two geshmaka. Oh, here's another thing. In the Sefer Pesach HaOyal of Reb David Abi Chatzera, he says there's another aspect of the Shivas Ushpizin. You have esrog, you have lulav, you have 3 hadasim, and 2 aravos. What do you think the 7 items are for? They're for the Shivas Ushpizin. Everybody knows the esrog is David. The lulav is Yosef HaTzadik. The 2 hadasim are Moshe and Aaron. I'm sorry. The 2 aravos are Moshe and Aaron. The 3 hadasim are the avos hakdoshim. That's already found in the Medrash. He brings Ramazim Neflaim. He says that Reb David Abi Chatzera says, this is not the current Reb David Abi Chatzera, this is the original one. He says, Pre-Eitz Hadar is Esraig. Kapos Tamar Mezulav. Anafis says Hadas. Arvei Nachal. These 4 minim, which are 7, are connected to Shiva Ushpizin. And that's why we have 7 days. V'zeu Aremez. Gamkein. Pre-Eitz Hadar is Gematria David HaMelech Yisrael. Kapois Tamarim is Gematria Bris Kodesh Yosef Chai. Anaf Eitz Avos with the letters and the words is Gematria Or Avram Yitzchak V'Yakov. V'Arvei Nachal is Gematria El Moshe, which is also Gematria Shalom, which is Aaron Oyev Shalom. Anyway, you ready? Fasten your seatbelts. So, 2 things. One from Rav Tzvi Hirsch of Zidichoiv, quoted by the Bnei Yissaschar in his footnotes on the Zohar. Rav Tzvi Hirsch of Zidichoiv was the Sar Beis HaZohar. And he was known as the master of the Zohar. He taught Kabbalah to the Malbim. And he wonders that why is it that we don't go in chronology? Avram, we know Nusach Ashkenaz is Ushpizin is Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. But Nusach Svard, or Kabbalistically, it's Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, David. Why? Why do we put Yosef after? He says that Rav Tzvi Elimelech of Dinov, the Bnei Yissaschar, says he heard from his Mechutin, Rav Tzvi Hirsch of Zidichoiv, that in the Ushpizin of Sukkos, Yosef, which is the Yesod, comes before Moshe and Aaron, and yet in the Kavanos of the Nanuim, of the Ari, it's the opposite. It's Netzach, Hoid, Yesod. So he says as follows, Rav Tzvi Hirsch of Zidichoiv said, Chazal say in Baba Basra, Bi Yeshiva halach achar zikna. Basically, this is an explanation for Nusach Ashkenaz, where Yosef comes before Moshe and David. Why? You know why? Because the Chazal say in the Gemara, when it comes to sitting, you follow age. What bracha do you make on a sukkah? In the sukkah you make the bracha leishev basukah. So therefore we go by age. Yosef before Moshe and Aaron. But by the hakafos, that's b'mesiba, the Gemara says, you follow chachma. And therefore it's Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. So Reb Tzvi Hirsch of Zidichoiv followed Nusach Ashkenaz for the Ushpizin, putting David before Moshe and Aaron. Why? Based on the Gemara that Bi Yeshiva halach achar zikna, and Yosef was older than Moshe and David. However, of Reb Tzvi Elimelech of Dinov, he said no. Even by the sukkah, you're going to do it in the order of the Spherois, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and then David. Anyway, and now I'm going to tell you how Rabbi Meir Shapiro defended the Kabbalistic view of Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. This comes from the official biography about Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin, which was written by Rav David Avram Mandelbaum, who I had the chus to become acquainted with of recent. He says that in Lublin, Rav Meir Shapiro during the Yom Tov of Sukkos was on a great spiritual high, and if in the rest of the year he exuded a great simcha of oiz v'chedva v'mkaimai, during the time of Sukkos his simcha was sevenfold. And the Talmidim would sit with Rabbi Meir Shapiro in the walls of the sukkah, and they would talk about the Olamai Sal Yoinim and Behidr Mitzvah. So Rabbi Meir Shapiro was like a overflowing wellspring, and one time he said a amazing source for the Kabbalistic practice of the Ushpizin, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef. Moshe on day 4, Yosef on day 6. He brought a raya from the Gemara in the Sukkah. You ready? What was the Shira of the Levium on the 3rd day of Chol HaMoed, which is the 4th day of Sukkos? Mi yakum li'amarayim. And what about on the 5th day of Chol HaMoed, the 6th day of Sukkos? Hasiroisi misevel shichmai. Now, it's interesting. Both of these psukim are in the middle of prakim of Tehillim. And nevertheless, the Levium started their Shira on the 4th day of Sukkos, mi yakum li'amarayim, and on the 6th day of Sukkos with Hasiroisi misevel shichmai. Is a raya that the 4th day of Sukkos, who is mi yakum li'amarayim talking about? Moshe! Mi yakum li'amarayim is Moshe, the Gemara says in Sukkah. And who's Hasiroisi misevel shichmai? That's Yosef, who was taken out of jail. So the Shira of the 4th day of the Levium is the Shira about Moshe, and the Shira of the 6th day of Sukkos is a Shira about Yosef. Is a raya from Talmud Bavli to the Kabbalistic practice of the Ushpizin of Moshe being day 4 and the Ushpizin of Yosef being day 6. I bet you, when you have good guests, they come with good stuff. I'm sure that if you make Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov comfortable, the Zayda is going to give you a good bracha. When parents come, they sometimes bring a gift, sometimes they don't. When grandparents come, they always bring a gift. When great-grandparents come, it was worth it for you, right? That's the way it works. I guarantee you, if when Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, when they come into your sukkah, I have a feeling with the chair, the candles, if you learn Torah at your table, and you sing Zmiros at your table, and your table is a true Simchas Yom Tov, boy, will they make it worth it for you. Anyway, that's our first offering. Then I have 2 short ones that I don't want you to miss, but I'm going to do the more important one first. Here we go.